Shavua Tov. We're right now in Parashat Y.E.S. We're going to do Parashat Shiur of Parashat Lech-Lecha. Last week we did for Parashat Noach. So it started right away that HaShem Yitbarach tells Avraham Avinu, what does he tell him? He says, I want you to go away from your land. But you have to go back a little bit. What happened? Right away HaShem goes over to Avraham, tells him leave. Is there anything before, or is Avraham just some special person? Hashem comes over to him and tells him, speaks to him right away. So, thing is, we have to have some background. Now, whenever I was a kid, I used to think that this background was always part of Tanakh, until I actually read Tanakh. Once I actually read Parashat Lech-Lecha, I was looking, I was saying, wait, where is the midrashim? Where is all these type of things? I was looking, I didn't know it was midrashim. I thought that I was always told about the things before. So I was looking between Parashat Noach, Parashat Lech-Lecha. Hashem just right away tells him to go, and over here it starts basically Hashem says, I want you to get up and go. But the midrashim explain a little bit before. From Parashat Noach, it already brings Terach and Avraham and brother Nachor, Haran and everything, and Sarai. It brings the story from before. So then the midrashim come and explain a little bit of the background of who Avraham was, who Terach was, and all these type of things. So first of all, it says, we know that Avraham Avinu was a great person. But how did he get to this greatness? So whenever Avraham was 3 years old, Chachamim explained whenever he was 3 years old, back in the day, whenever you were 3 years old, you were already on a much higher intellectual level than you are nowadays. Nowadays, you're 3 years old. What do you know how to play? Maximum you know how to play is, you know how to build his Legos. It's maximum you know how to do. But back in the day, this was already considered, so to speak, like an adult. He already knew how to do different things. He could already run a whole entire business. At age 7, they could already have a whole entire family. At age 7, they could even have kids that are almost getting married. That's how the ages changed so much. So Avraham Avinu was 3 years old, and he looked at this guy, and he says, I'm trying to figure out what's controlling all this, what made all this, what created all this. It's all amazing. It can't just always existed. It can't be that it came out of nowhere. Someone had to create it. There has to be some type of God. So he looks at this guy and he sees the sun, and he says, that has to be God. Sorry, before he was in a cave because he was hiding. His mother was hiding him from Nimrod. So his whole entire life until 3 years old, he was living in the cave. So he comes out and he sees the sun. He says, this has to be God. First time he ever sees the sun. This must be God. He starts worshipping it, saying the sun, how great all your creations are, how great. And then he sees it's going lower and lower, and he's wondering, he says, what's happening right now? So then he sees eventually the sun goes away and the moon comes out. And he says, oh, the sun wasn't God, it's the moon. It's the moon. Why? Because he just overpowered him, which means that he's more powerful. So it's the moon. So it's the moon. So he's saying, okay, well, he's doing teshuva. He says, moon, I'm sorry, I worshipped the wrong God. I can't believe it. He's doing teshuva and he's worshipping him. He's praying to the moon, praying everything. And then eventually he sees that the moon goes away and the sun comes out. He says, oh, so now I understand. This is neither of them are God. You can't have two gods. You have to have one God, because if it's two, it doesn't make sense. If it's one, then it makes sense. Then it's like he's the Almighty. So if there's two, it can't be. So neither of them are God. And he's constantly looking different things. Maybe it's the statue. No, it's not the statue because we made it. No, it's not this because it doesn't make it. All these things he was saying, it doesn't make sense. All the way whenever he's 14, he's looking for Hashem and he's already searching. He says, you know what? It has to be that God is something that we can't see, we can't feel. He's beyond the scope of physicality. His father, on the other hand, Terach, he is wholesaler. In what? He's wholesaler in idols. He makes the idols or buys the idols, whatever it is, and he sells them. He sells them. You want this one, you want that one. Which one you want? This one looks good. This one does. This one's the god of this, the god of wealth. This one's the god of beauty. This one's the god of young age. This, whatever it is, all these type of things. So Abraham said, "This is all shtuyot. You made this, or you got it from a person that made it." So he says, "I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one. He's the one, and He created everything. And we can't. He's not physical in this world. He's not something that we could point to and say this is God. No, it's God is everywhere, but God does not take a physical form." Abraham understood this. So then, not only did they serve idols, did they worship idols, there was one king over there named Nimrod. Now Nimrod used to tell the people of his country, he says, "I'm God." He's God, but apparently they had more gods. So when he said, "I'm God, worship me," so a lot of people worship him. They said, "You're God, you're God, you're God." The same thing that we see with Paro. Whenever Bnei Israel is in Mitzrayim with Moshe, we see that he also said he's God. He barely went he didn't even go to the bathroom in front of people. He made a curfew. He made a thing that everybody has to be at home, so that he could secretly go to the Nile River to be in the bathroom. So to tell people, "I'm beyond human. I don't even go to the bathroom. I don't need to go to the bathroom," which means that I'm something special. I have godliness in me. I'm a god. So that's what Paro did. But Nimrod also did this. Paro learned it from Nimrod. So Nimrod said to everybody, "I'm God." And Abraham looked at him. Nimrod said, "Bow to me." Abraham looked and says, "You're not God, you're not nothing. You're flesh and blood. I know you go to the bathroom. I know you're eating. Everything works. You just had a stomach ache. What kind of God has a stomach ache? What type of God has sickness? You just sneezed a few minutes ago. You're nothing." So Nimrod said, "Listen, I give you two choices. Either you worship me, or we have a nice big fire over here that we're doing this whole entire avodah zarah, this whole entire ceremony and everything. We're going to take you, we're going to burn you. Which one do you choose?" So he says, "Listen, I choose God." He says, "What God? You don't see him. You can't do anything. There's no, what God? Where is he? Where is he?" He says, "I don't have to see him. I know that he exists. I know that he created the world. I have faith in that, and I know that's true because of all the beauty, the beautifulness in the world. And I choose HaShem." So then he goes and he says, "No problem." He takes Abraham, throws him in the fire, and Abraham says, "No problem. I'll die in the B'Shem HaShem. And in the name of HaShem, I'll die." Just to prove HaShem didn't speak to him yet. People think, I also thought that that HaShem spoke to him and then he knew and then he jumped. But then once you actually read, you actually learn, it's not true. First he went inside the fire and then Hashem revealed to Abraham that he was Hashem. So but Abraham understood. He knew that Hashem existed. So he went inside the fire, no problem. He went inside the fire believing that I'm going to die right now, but I'm willing to die b'Shem Hashem. And eventually, many days, 3 days pass by, and they're seeing, what is this? He's still alive. Take him out of here. Nimrod takes him out. He says, come out. And right away, he's quiet. He says, "Listen, leave. Don't make me look like an idiot. Leave. So that's the beginning. At the beginning, I thought that was written Torah. I thought that was written in the Torah. But where do we learn this out from? What's one reason? We learned it out from the name Ur Kasdim. Technically, the name of the town is not necessarily Ur Kasdim. It's called Kasdim. But if we take from the word Ur that there was a fire and all these type of things, is how the midrashim and everything take it. So a very interesting thing, the terach, that whenever Avraham Avinu whenever Hashem told Avraham Avinu to leave, Avraham Avinu left his father. He says, "Yeah, but I have to do kibud aveim and all these type of things." Hashem says, "You don't have to do kibud aveim." Why? He's considered dead. Because whenever you have a rasha, that in his lifetime he's considered dead. But tzaddikim, even in their death, they're considered alive. Because they go to Olam Haba, they go to the Gan Eden. They have the real world, the real life. But the Reshaim don't have that. They don't have it over here. They don't have the enjoyment of Torah and mitzvot, and they don't have it over there. They don't have anything. They have Gehenom, they have Kafakela, they have Hashem Yishmor. So they're considered dead. They're considered in death. So Hashem says, you have no mitzvah to worry about the kibud aveim. He's right now going against you. He's saying, listen, don't become religious, don't go close to God. Listen, come worship the idols. You have nothing to worry about. You have no obligation. You just kiss it, bow down to it, and that's it. You can do whatever you want. Abraham goes away and goes wherever Hashem tells him, and whenever Hashem says, Lech-Lecha me'altzecha. But an interesting thing, what does it say over here? We're going to go back in Parashat Noach. In the end of Parashat Noach, it says in chapter 11, verse 27, now these are the chronicles of Terach. Terach begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran. And Haran begot Lot. So the Chachamim explain, we see in this week's Parashat Vayera, that Hashem tells Avram Avinu, he says, Avram, right? Avraham. He says it. He says over here, verse 11. ויקרא עליו מלאך השם מן השמיים ויאמר אברהם ויאמר הנני. He says Avraham the name twice. An angel of Hashem called to him from the heavens and he said, Avram. So the Chachamim explain, any time that there's a name that's doubled in the Torah right next to each other, it's a siman, it's a sign that he has Olam Haba. Now the question is, what do you mean? Terach was Oved Avodah Zarah. He was an idol worshipper. He went against God. He says, no, God doesn't exist. I'm not keeping mitzvot. I'm not keeping anything. He did idols, did whatever he wanted to do, and made other people sin doing idols. But the question is, but we have a Misorah that he has Olam Haba, because it says his name, it says Terach twice, Terach. So over here, the Chachamim explain the Terach in the end of his life, before he died, he did teshuva. He did teshuva, and he said he recognized Hashem, and he went to Abraham, and they did teshuva. Now, to explain even deeper, the Chachamim explain, okay, fine, Terach did teshuva, but is that it? He did teshuva, that's it, he went to Gan Eden, he went. So there's an even deeper Divrei Chazal that says that Terach went to Bet Din HaShamayim, went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, my son, thank you for doing teshuva. You have a nice place for you in Gan Eden. And then Terach says, wait 1 second, where is my son going to be? Avraham. Where is Avraham going to be? So Avraham is going to be over there. He's going to be high. You know how much people he did to do teshuva? You know how much kiruv he did? You know who he is? So Terach says, yes, but I'm over here. He says, Hashem says, it's amazing. You know what you're going to enjoy over here? He says, yes, I understand, but I want to be with my son. I want to be in the level of my son. He says, yeah, what can I do? What can I do? You didn't live your life like your son. Yeah, you did teshuva, but what do you want? Terach says, I'm sorry, it's not enough. So what do you want? He says, I need something. Give me something to help me go to where my son is going to be in Gan Eden. So he says, okay, fine. You know what? I'll bring you back to this world. Make you Gilgul. I'll bring you back into this world, and I'll give you I'll give you a life that's gonna reach to your son. He says, no problem. He says, no, wait. You have to understand. It's not just going to be a simple life. This life is going to be with suffering. It's going to be hard life. To make so much suffering, it's going to elevate you so much, it's going to elevate you to that level. He says, deal, I want to join, I want to do it. And Chachamim explain that Terach was put into Gilgul of Eov, of Job. That's why Job got such a difficult life, so much suffering, that his body started to deteriorate. He was billionaire and he lost everything in one day. All of his children died in one day. Everything went, all the riches, everything went, they're crazy. Someone like that would have gotten a heart attack, would have just died on the spot. But in the end, he says, his wife said, maybe curse God and he's going to kill you right now and take you away from this misery. Yov says, Hashem natan, Hashem lakach, Hashem avrach. Who's the one that gave me all of this? Who's the one that gave it to me? Who's the one that took it? Hashem Yitbarach is the one that gave it to me. If someone gives you a gift, gives you a gift, he says, here, enjoy it. And you're enjoying it, and he says, you know what, please, he takes it back from him. What are you supposed to say? You gave it, technically it's yours. You're letting me use it. You're letting me use it. You have the right to take it back. Hashem is the one that gave it. If he wants to take it back, it's his right. It's his right to take it back. So, Terach did teshuva in the end of his life. And we see another member of Avram's family. And this is all happening. Avram Avinu was born in the year 1948. Just a small hint, just a small interesting thing that Hashem likes to put these type of things. Avram Avinu was born in 1948. And also that year, in the current year, in our current schedule, in the current calendar, in the year 2022, if you go back a little bit less than 100 years ago, it was also 1948 in the English calendar, in the American calendar, Gregorian calendar, more correctly. So, in the year 1948, that was whenever the state of Israel was official. Was actually officially a state of Israel, Medinat Yisrael. So, and also Avraham Avinu was also 6 years old whenever Noach died, which was also 10 years after the Tower of Babel. So Avraham Avinu was 4 years after the Tower of Babel, after the whole entire thing, after Migdal Bavel and the dispersion and everything, that everybody wanted to go against God. Avraham Avinu was born 4 years after that, after the whole entire balagan, and then 6 years after that, Noach died. So Noach was in the generation of the flood, and also the generation of the Tower of Babel. So now going back to there was another member of Avraham Avinu's family that right before Nimrod threw Avraham into the Kivshan HaEsh, into the fire, he asked his brother. It says over here an interesting thing. It seems random. It seems like it's out of place. Like what does it make a difference? Kind of. Why are you telling us this? It says over here. After saying who's Terach's sons, it says that Haran, one of Noach's brothers, Haran died in the lifetime of Terach, his father, in the native land of Ur Kasdim. And as we learn, Ur Kasdim was the land, was the whole fire. We learned the fire from Ur Kasdim, from the thing of Ur, the fire, Kivshan HaEsh. So the Chachamim explain that before Nimrod threw Avraham inside the Kivshan HaEsh, he asked Haran, he says, Haran, are you with me? My God, are you going to bow to me, or are you going to go with Avraham, your brother? So he's looking, he's thinking, he's saying, I know my brother was a bit fanatic. I know this, that, but in the end, Nimrod is also, he thinks he's God. He says, you know what? We're going to pick sides right now. He says to Nimrod, he says, let's see. Throw my brother inside. And if he comes out alive, I'm going to join him. But if he dies, I'm going to join you. Nimrod says, okay, fine. He throws Avraham inside. Avraham, in his heart, he's saying, I'm willing to, he says, HaShem, to go and die al kiddush Hashem. He says, bracha, baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu v'tzivanu v'tzivanu, lamut al kiddush Hashem. Went and died. He went to say bracha. He was mamash willing to die. He goes inside the fire. A little while later, he comes out. Haran says, now I know it's real. I choose HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I choose the God of Abraham. Nimrod takes him, throws him inside. He says, no problem, go join him. Go join his fate. You come out alive, good. If not, Shalom Yisrael. Haran goes inside Kivshan Esh and dies. He doesn't come out alive. Why? Why doesn't he come out alive? Why didn't he get the same exact thing of Abraham? Abraham chose to die at Kiddush Hashem. But Haran says, now that I see that Avraham Avinu came out alive, I'm going to come out alive also. So I'll do it, no problem. So whenever it's a thing that you think that it's vadai, of course I'm going to be fine. You go over there, you're not going to be fine. Who says you're going to be fine? But Avraham Avinu says, I'm willing to die. I'm willing to die. He came out perfectly fine. It's also it's an interesting thing. Don't automatically think, listen, I know for sure. Say, I know I might die. I know it's a risk. It's a risk. But I know I have to do this. Hashem Yitbarach told me to do this. Not that I know I'm going to live. Hashem told me to do it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Went inside. But Haran, he says, I know I'm going to be saved. He went, he wasn't saved. So we could take this. Sometimes we know that Avraham Avinu did kiruv. He went out. He went out and he brought people to do teshuva. Sometimes, whenever we have the obligation to rebuke the people, tell them, listen, do teshuva, stop doing these averot, stop being a pig, stop doing all your desires. Conquer yourself. Learn some manners. Not just manners of human beings, just the mind. Manners of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That he told you, conquer your desires. Don't look at every single woman that walks. Don't think about every single thing. Okay, listen, as long as it's inside my mind, nobody sees, nobody thinks about anything. I could act like a tzaddik, but in the end, I can think whatever I want. So, but what happened? Abraham went to people and told them to stop. Told them about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Told them. But in the end, it's a life risk. People don't like whenever you tell them what to do. People don't like it. So you go over there, you tell them, listen, stop with your averot. Come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You tell someone, the Jew, that Chas v'Shalom went to Christianity, or even a goy. You tell him, listen, it's fake. What is he going to do? He might come to you, I'm going to kill you. Don't say this about my God. Tell him, no, listen, my friend, I'll tell you straightforward. Your God is fake. Your God is a joke. Your God died. How could he be a God? He died. He can't be a son of God. God does not die. His son died? Not only he's saying he was God. He died. You have to say this. Say it. They kill me. They don't. Listen, in the end, I say the truth. I say the emet. I say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is real. Only the Torah is real. Everything else is baloney. Avraham Avinu was willing to go. Haran was like the one that says, listen, it's a risk. Okay, if it's not a risk, if I'm not going to be screamed at, then I'm going to say something. But if people are not going to like it, then I'm going to stay quiet. So he thought, Avraham Avinu did it. He didn't get screamed at. He didn't get into the fire. He didn't get the ish. So I'm going to do it also. He went inside, he got the ish. He got the screaming, he got the everything. He got it. He got it. That was the difference between the emunah of Avraham. He says, I'm doing it regardless what happens, what doesn't happen. Haran says, I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to do it. That was the difference. So, we see in the Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah, it explains how Avraham Avinu was 52 years old whenever he went out and he started being mikarev people. He started doing kiruv. He started going around telling people about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, come to my house to eat. I'll give you to eat. Come. Eating everything kosher, glad kosher, Bet Yosef, Yashan, the best food, the best. High quality, 5-star Michelin restaurant. The top. But he says right after, he says, thank you very much. And they said, okay, fine, what should we do now? He says, listen, I'll give you a thing. Either, if you want, you could pay me within 2 ways. Either you could pay the creator, the one that gave you the food. So you give me the food. No, you could thank the creator. You could thank the one that gave you the food. I didn't give you the food. The creator gave you the food. So how do we thank him? You say Birkat Hamazon. Say Birkat Hamazon and it's free. The whole entire meal is free. The whole bed and breakfast and everything is free. Because then what if we don't want to? What if we think that Yoshka is God? What if we think that the rock is God? What if we think the cow is God? So he says, okay, fine, pay me. How much? Okay, fine, we'll pay you. How much for it? $20? Is it $20? I'm gonna $5,000. Give me $1 million for what you just ate. Well, it was a slice of it. Yeah, of course. Why is stealing? Stealing is it? You don't say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says either one of 2 ways. Either you say Birkat Hamazon or you pay me. Okay, fine. We'll say Birkat Hamazon. Then he says, okay, listen, you said Birkat Hamazon. Now let's learn a little bit. Why did you say Birkat Hamazon? You just said Birkat Hamazon. Why was I willing to give it up? Why was I willing to this and that, all these type of things? And he taught them, and he went, and he said, but he didn't say Muchi Puchi, all these type of things, come, we're all tzaddikim, we're all amazing. No. He says, you're doing averot. Come, I'll teach you the right way. So he was 52 years old, and at that time, he was 52 years old. It was year 2000. Year 2000, the Gemara explains, started the time of Torah. The time of Torah, it started. From the year that Avraham Avinu started doing kiruv, started teaching about people about God. And we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him to leave. As we go, it says, "V'yomer HaShem el Avram, Lech-Lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mibet avicha el haaretz asher areka." He says, Hashem said to Avram, whenever he was 75 years old, go for yourself from the land, from your relatives, and from your father's house, to the land that I will show you. So we see even over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't even tell him where he's going. He says, I'll show it to you. Don't worry, just go. I'll show you. Go. Just go. Where? No, go. You ever have someone that's going to say, listen, we're going on a road trip. Where? No, we're just going to go. I know where. We're going to tell you. Just surprise. Hashem Yitbarach says, go. You know it's going to be good. He says, go. I'm going. Where should I go? Left, right? That's it. That's all I have to know. Where? Destination? That's up to you. That's for you to know. You tell me to go, I'm going to go. But what's over here? Over here, the Chachamim explained that this is basically the first test. Other than the Kivshan HaEsh. Again, Kivshan HaEsh, he didn't even know HaKadosh Baruch Hu yet. He knew him, but not like a speaking basis. Not a speaking basis. Only until after he went into Kivshan HaEsh, then he got speaking basis with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, I want you to leave. Don't think that you could become religious with your family that's still violating Shabbat openly. Don't think that you could keep kosher in a family that there's a pig on the table. The pig head is on the table while you're eating the Bet Yosef steak while everybody's eating the biggest shrimps and everyone's lobsters. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you have to leave. You have to leave. You have a destiny. You have a place in Eretz Yisrael and a place in Canaan. I want you to go and be there. He didn't just say go. Sometimes people, whenever they're doing tshuva, you have one guy that does tshuva, what happens? His family, beseder, they're not doing tshuva, they're staying. Okay, he could go to yeshiva. Sometimes he could still speak to them, maybe teach them a little bit, maybe mechazik them, teach them some Torah. They're going to be like, wow, can we learn more? Can we this? Can we that? And eventually they grow together. As even in Melachi, the prophet Melachi explains that before Mashiach comes, in the end of days, which is now, the kids are going to make the parents do tshuva. The kids are going to make the parents do tshuva. What they're going to teach them, and they're going to inspire them, and they're going to tell them sometimes, listen, Abba, you can't do this. I know this and all these type of things, whatever it is. They're going to tell them, they're going to teach them and everything, and the fathers are going to get, the parents are going to get enlightened from the kids. They're going to be like, you know what, you're right, let's go, let's do everything, learn more and everything. Fine. The guy does tshuva, said he goes, learns, strengthens himself, whenever he could, he comes back, and or maybe speak to them on the phone, and strengthen them, give them some type of Devar Torah, send them shiurim, send them something, and they get stronger and everything. Okay, as long as they're not bothering him whenever he's actually trying to be stronger, they're not saying, listen, I want you to drive me to the appointment on Shabbat. He said, I'm sorry, Abba, I can't. He said, listen, either you do it, no. He said, okay, fine, listen, you're going to be machmir, you're going to be lazy, okay, fine, I'm going to go, I'm going to drive. Okay, then you could have some type of contact. But what is Hashem saying? What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying to Avraham Avinu right now? He says, I want you to leave. Not only I want you to leave, I want you to disconnect. Disconnect from your family completely. Disconnect. Don't call them on the weekends. Don't call them before Shabbat. Say Shabbat Shalom. Don't have anything. Don't send them mail. Don't visit them once in a while. Nothing. I want you to go and disconnect completely. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to disconnect from everything. Even behemet, even if let's say you love everybody, and let's say everybody's religious, but in the end you have a mission, you have something you have to do in somewhere else. You have to move. A woman gets married to a guy. She's so happy. She's under the chuppah. Right after the wedding, mikudeshet, everything. He breaks the glass, they all start dancing. What happens right after? She starts crying. Why are you crying? What happened? He says, you don't understand. Why? I have to leave everything that I known. I have to leave my parents. I have to leave But you love your husband. I love my husband. He's amazing. He's an amazing guy. I'm happy we're getting married. And I have to leave. Well, you were fighting with your mom so many times. I know, but I have to leave now. I'm going to fight with my husband. What? In the end, I have to leave. I love them so much. I have to leave now. I have to go to where my husband wants us to live. In the end, it's difficult to leave your family, to leave everything you know, to leave. Like I say, if you're from America, what do you have over here? You have Amazon. You know dollars. You don't want to learn now another currency. You have Amazon over here. You have the food you know over here, the treats you love over here, everything you know is here. You already know the directions to everywhere. You know how to get to Manhattan, you know how to get to Brooklyn, you know how to get to New Jersey, you know how to get to whatever it is, all these type of places, 5 towns, you know how to get everywhere. Now what do you have to do? You have to leave. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you to leave. What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu also telling Abraham? It's not going to work if your parents are pulling you down. If it's pulling you down, you have to leave them. You have to go somewhere else. You have to be on your own. You have to go away from them. He says, whenever Balei Tshuvot, they're trying to do tshuva, again, like I said, if the parents are not pushing them away from religion, okay, you could still get some type of connection with them, have some type of connection. But if they're dragging you down, if they're pulling you down and you have no possibility, you have no way, you're like, every single time I go there, my sisters are immodest, my mom is immodest, and they put on the TV, Hashem Yishmo, what they put on the TV. And what the words that come out of their mouth. I'm trying to say Devar Torah, they're saying, who's the next supermodel? You don't want to hear this. You don't want to deal with this. You're starting to say, if anything, sometimes whenever you say Devar Torah, they're saying, hey, azov with your shtiyot. Then they start saying so much kfirah against Hashem, they start blaspheming God. And you're like, listen, I can't do this. I can't. I'm out. I can't. And then they're saying, no, You have to sit down here and eat the pig, eat the thing, drive me right now. And you're like, I can't, I'm out. You know, whatever it is. You leave. You say, listen, also they're very, very, very convincing. If I speak to them, they're going to convince me to come back and all these type of things. I cannot do it. You leave. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying. So sometimes you have to disconnect completely. You have to leave. You have to leave sometimes. You have to leave. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, what are you going to get for this? What are you going to get for this commandment that I'm giving you? Right now, you and Sarah, you're already 75 years old, which means Sarah Imenu is 65 years old. You guys can't have kids yet. It doesn't say to Abraham, but he says, Lech-Lecha, go. There's a remez over here, there's a hint. The word Lech-Lecha is Lamed Chaf, Lamed Chaf. And if you have the gematria, the numerical value of Lamed Chaf, you're going to have 50 and 50. What's 50 and 50? 100. Hashem says, whenever you're 100 years old, I'm going to give you Yitzchak. I'm going to give you the one that's going to continue your line, the one that's going to make your legacy, the one that's going to make Am Yisrael, the one that's going to make everything, the one that's going to make you into a whole slew of people. From Avraham Avinu became Ishmael, became the Muslims. From Avraham Avinu, obviously became the Jews. Before that, Muslims. Became the Jews, became the Muslims, and became Esav, became Rome, became technically the Christians. Even though Christians come from all over the place, but technically the root of Christianity is from Esav. It's from Rome. So he says, from Yitzhak will come all of them. So now, I was listening to Rav Nisimi again. Rav Nisimi again is gold. He's fire, unbelievable. Rav Nisimi again, Zechuto Yagen Aleinu. He was an amazing speaker, an amazing Rav, with amazing stories and amazing Chidushim. And he explained, he brings the whole entire thing of Lot. He says that with Lot, we see in the beginning that Avraham Avinu, Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, I want you to go. Leave, right? Leave everything you know and go start a new life. Start everything fresh. Nimrod threw him in Kivshan Ha'esh, threw him in the fire. He came out and everybody saw that this is a man of God. This guy just came out of fire. Lot looks at him and says, this is a person that I want to stick with. This is a person that I know it's a good idea to stick with. It's a very, very good idea. And he stuck with him and he says, this person's holy, this person is connected to God, I'm staying with him. Wherever he goes, I'm going. Yeah, but you have to leave everything. You have to leave the business, the multi-million-dollar business, I'm leaving it. You have to leave the people that you know, I'm leaving it. You have to leave your family, I'm leaving it. I'm going, sticking with the Chacham. I'm sticking. Lot was a tzaddik, was a very big Tamid Chacham, was a very big tzaddik. But what happened? We're going to see. He stuck to Abraham, and even Nimrod the Rasha. He saw Abraham and he says, listen, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are. You're something else. Abraham says, because I'm connecting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not me. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, fine. Now I know you're real. Now I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is real. But what do you want from me? What am I supposed to do now? So he says, listen, you're something special. He says, you know, Bemet, I'm supposed to join you. What am I going to do? I'm going to send my son. Who's his son? Eliezer. Eliezer is Nimrod's son. Nimrod saw this is a person to stick with. What's the problem? The problem is Nimrod was so stuck in his comfortable. He was so comfortable in his chair. You know, whenever you sit in a chair, it has your print. After a while, you have a shoe, has your print. So he was like, I'm too comfortable where I am. Too comfortable. Some people, what do they say? Whenever you tell them, yes, then you have to do teshuva. Now you know there's God. Now you know God is real. Now you know the Torah is real. Now you know the Torah has consequences if you don't do it. You know it. He says, yes, I know it. He says, you know it? I know it. I know it's real. I know the Torah gives consequences. I know I know Hashem Yishmo, that if I continue in this way, I'm going to go the biggest punishments in the world, in Gehenom. I know. Lose your olam haba. Yes, I know I'm gonna. So why aren't you moving? I'm getting too comfortable. I can't move. I can't learn something new. I can't do everything. But what am I gonna do? My son. I'm gonna send my son to yeshiva. What about you? Now my son is gonna go to yeshiva. I'm gonna continue with this. Okay, Shabbat, at least Shabbat. No. Shabbat, my son is gonna do it. I'm gonna be a barber. I'm gonna be a shoemaker. I'm gonna continue with my job. My son is gonna do it. My daughter is gonna go to Beit Yaakov. My daughter is gonna go to learn in the yeshiva. My daughter is gonna be modest. What about you? Put on something. No, it's choking me. I can't. Okay, but it's serious. God is serious. I know. That's why I'm sending my son. But what about you? So Nimrod, he knew the truth, but he sent his son. He says, Eliezer, come here. It's better. This guy is a man of God. This guy's a holy man. It's better if you go to him and be a slave by him than to be a king by me. Eliezer was next in line to be king. He says, better to go to him and be a slave. Clean his shoes, wipe the floor, clean the floors, bring him his drinks. Everything is better to be with him, to be a slave at him, than to be a master by me, be a king by me. And what happened with Eliezer? Eliezer, he became such a holy person that in the end of his life, what was he zocheh to? He was zocheh to go to Gan Eden alive. He went to Gan Eden alive. Halavai will go dead. Halavai will go to Gan Eden dead. He went to Gan Eden alive. Someone from Canaan, someone from the cursed nation of Canaan, became so holy because he stuck to Abraham. He became so holy, he went to Gan Eden alive with his clothes still on. He went to Gan Eden alive. And what happened to Nimrod? Nimrod that stayed in his comfort zone, he adayom b'geinom, until today in hell. He's right now in hell. Forever. He's staying there, enjoying the fire, the jacuzzi. It's not jacuzzi, it's boiling right now. He's there. Why? Still now known nowadays as cursed. Still known as Nimrod HaRasha. Because he couldn't get out of his comfort zone. Now, Lot and Eliezer, they went with Abraham. Lot, again, was tzaddik. He went. And he didn't only go. Abraham Avinu, he had a promise from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, go, it's going to be good for you. Lot didn't have a promise. They didn't have anything. He didn't say, if Lot goes with you, I'll give him also good. He says, listen, if a holy man is going, and HaShem told him that it's going to be good for him, I know it's a good place, I'm going with him. I'm going. And he stuck with him and he learned so much good middot, so much good things to do. He learned the trait of achnasat orchim, of bringing guests. Not only bringing guests, but misirut nefesh, as we're going to see in this week's Parashat, not Parashat Lech-Lecha, in this week's Parashat Y.E.S, that Avraham Avinu, he's sick. He's sick right now. He's in the third day after a very serious operation, which is the hardest day of recovery. One of the hard, it's right after, it's increased the pain. Nowadays we have all these type of numbers and everything. We don't feel it. But really, how it is, the third day is the worst one. Avraham Avinu should be resting. What does he do? He runs out in the hot day and he welcomes guests. So even though Lot already left him by that time, but he still learned from previous encounters that how to bring in guests with misirut nefesh, and really wanting it badly, to do anything just to have guests, to do everything. How do we see this? How do we see that? We saw that Abraham Avinu had misirut nefesh v'achasat nochim, for bringing in guests. How do we see this from Lot? We see that right before Sodom was destroyed, what happens in chapter 19, verse 1, it says, 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. Now Lot saw and stood up up to meet them, and he bowed. He bowed down to them, face to the ground. He said, Behold now, my lords, turn about, please, to your servant's house. Please, please turn around, come to my house. Come to my house. Now you might say, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? He says, please, spend the night and wash your feet. Then wake up early and go on your way. Spend the night, eat, drink, enjoy yourself, spend the night, and then go. And they said, no, we will much rather, don't worry, don't push yourself. We're going to sleep inside in the streets. In the streets we're going to sleep. You might think, what's the big deal? I bring every day to I bring my friend to have sandwich with me. I bring this. The Chachamim explain, what's the big deal? In Sodom and Gomorrah, it was illegal to bring in guests. It was illegal. What did they have? They had a poor guy. It was illegal to give tzedakah, to give charity. It was illegal. You cannot show mercy to other people. You do yourself, you have yourself, and that's it. Everybody else is for themselves. They had a poor guy, few days, whatever, a week. That's it. He dies. That's it. What do? They take his body, they throw him out. They take his goods, they take his shirt, they take his few things that he has, few trinkets. They take him and they throw his body into the river, and that's it. One time, what did they see? What did they see? One time they saw this one poor guy. They're like, okay, listen, a few days he's gonna die, and we're gonna take all his stuff. They're waiting. A few days passing by. They're like, well, this guy has a great, I don't know, maybe this guy, trained himself. He could, use his body fat. Well, okay, fine, whatever. We're gonna give him more time. Then they see weeks passing, months passing. They're like, listen, my friend, this is impossible. This is already too much. It's impossible. He's not even getting skinnier. He's staying the same thing. He's not getting skinnier. Eventually, you fast enough, you're going to get skinnier. This guy is not getting, he's staying the same weight. What is he getting? Man from Shamayim? What is he getting? They say something's happening. Someone's feeding this guy. So in the middle of the night, they start figuring out who it is. And they figure out, who is it? It's Lot's daughter. One girl that's going out and feeding this guy in the middle of the night. So nobody sees her. So in the middle of the night, she goes and she's feeding this guy. And she's going in the middle of the night. She's trying to make sure nobody sees her. And they catch her. They're saying, you have to go to jail. You did an avera. The Beit Din of Sodom. Beit Din of Sodom said, you have death penalty. Death penalty you have to get. Why? What did I do? I gave the guy bread. I gave the guy a sandwich. Yeah, exactly. You're not allowed to. This is avera. This is a sin in Sodom. It's a sin according to their Beit Din, their rules. That's the problem with mankind, with the man. They thought that it was a sin. So he's saying, so at that time, right after that, now Hashem Yishmo, Lot, poor guy, he just lost a daughter. His daughter just died, and he's sitting Shiva. He's mourning. And what happens? He sees these angels. He sees these men. He's like, oh my God, an opportunity! It's an opportunity. What opportunity? It's not just that the people of Sodom said, no, we're gonna kill people, but they don't actually kill people. You saw that they just killed your daughter. Your daughter they just killed. What are you gonna do right now? He says, no, it's an opportunity. She also learned how to do b'misirut nefesh, with self-sacrifice, for guests, to give people food, do chesed, do kindness. Lot, he says, it's an opportunity now. And he ran and he said, please, come to my house. Please come to my house. Please. And he begged him. He went down to the floor. He says, please, my lords, please come to my house. Please come to my house. And what did they tell him? They said, no, it's fine. Don't push yourself. We're going to stay inside the street. Don't worry. And he could have said, you know what? I tried. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Goodbye. I'll see you. But he says, no. He says, please. He says, verse 3, and he urged them very much. So they turned toward him and came to his house, and he made them a feast for them, and baked matzot, and they ate. So he begged them. He says, please. And they said, you know what? Okay, fine, we're going to come. They knew he was risking his life. They knew he was risking life, but they said, you know what? He's willing. He wants to go. He wants to do it. We're going to let him. We're going to go with him. Rav Nisim again, he explained, he says, what type of misirut nefesh he had? What type of things that he learned from Abraham? How much did he learn from Abraham? He learned from Abraham. Not only did he gave them food, let them sleep. Maybe these type of things, he could have done it quietly. He could have said, okay, fine, maybe he could have gotten away with it. But what did he do? Rav Nisim again has a chidush. He says, what type of achnasat orchim, what type of the mitzvah of having guests did he actually do? What did he learn from Abraham Avinu? It says in the pasuk, it says in the pasuk, it says Y.E.S. lehem mishteh. He did for them a feast. What does mishteh mean? What does mishteh mean? Mishteh does not mean just a few food and a few candies and that's it. Go to sleep. Mishteh means a feast, a galler, a ball, whatever it is. He made a whole entire feast, a great feast, many courses, many different types of delicacies and everything. And not only that, so Rav Nisim again says, well, how did he do it? He says, listen, if I just invite them, and the whole entire time I'm going to act like I'm on watch, that they know that if they catch me, I'm dead, I'm screwed. So what are they going to do? They're also going to be scared. They're also going to be wondering. They're going to be worried to eat. But what did he do? Just to make them not feel like we're here just because of the mitzvah, but he doesn't want us to be here. What did he do? He made them feel welcome. He was singing and dancing and bringing them food and everything, and he was making them enjoying. He's saying, drinking with them, l'chaim. He was saying it like as if he was enjoying, as if there was nothing wrong. What was the big deal? He's making them feel comfortable, making them feel welcome. This is what it says. Y.E.S. lehem mishteh. He made for them mishteh. He made for them a whole feast, a whole entire feast. He was willing to mamash die to accept guests, to die. He was willing to die to accept guests. And sometimes we're over here, we're like, we make faces to our wives, we make faces to the people, to the guests sometimes. Sometimes, how many times I went to people's houses and sometimes they had fights over there while I was in the house. So uncomfortable. The guests just want to leave. Guests just want to leave. They don't want to be there. A little kid, whenever I was a little kid, I used to go to these houses. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like over there sitting and they're fighting. And I'm like, okay, why am I here? Why am I here? I guess I was there to give the shir today, to have an actual experience. Sometimes the mamash actually went into fighting. People fight like actual, and then the guests just want to leave. They don't want to be there. He actually made it. He was actually in a life risk that we probably wouldn't do it. Ravi again says, Bemet, he would have been scared. He wouldn't do it. He would say, Mama, maximum, he would give them a sandwich and just like, okay, just go secretly. One time, they're not going to warn. One time, they're not going to catch us. Take this and go. Take it and go. Run away. Run away from here. But he did it b'misirut nefesh, willing to die, willing to mamash, risk everything. You see how much Lot grew. He was mamash a tzaddik. But what happened to him? What happened to him in the end? Where did he go wrong? What was his end? What was Lot's end? Until this day in hell. Until this day in hell. Until this day, Hashem Yishmo. What else was his end? What else was his end? He was the father and the father and grandfather of his grandkids. He was with his daughters in the end. He became grandfather and grandpa and papa and grandpa at the same time. And well, okay, fine, even at that. What else? Even whenever his nations, as it says in the Torah, lo yavo moavi o amoni bekala Hashem leolam. But it says they can never go into the congregation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning that even if they can convert, but they can never marry one of us. They can never marry. They can marry within each other. They can marry. You have a guy from the Moabite came, and also a girl from the Moabite came. Nation, they can marry each other. They can continue their line, but it's two separate. We have Bnei Yisrael and we have them. Even though we're both Jewish, they cannot marry into us, we cannot marry into them. So much so, HaShem says, I don't want this type of people here. This type of people in my pure blood nation. Even if they convert. How did he get so deep that his ancestors cannot come to the congregation of HaShem? How? Midrash Rabbah, it explains what happens. It explains that sometimes you have a Talmid that he's, let's say he just did teshuva. He's learning from his Rav. In the beginning, he's saying everything the Rav is saying. He says, wow, he's enjoying, he's learning, he's like with thirst, he's drinking the words of the Rav. Every time he's with the Rav, every time he's learning from the Rav. And he's constantly learning. Eventually, what happens? He starts teaching it on his own, teaching other people, spreading the Torah. And what happens? Eventually, he starts saying, wait, maybe my rabbi was like mistaken over here. Maybe he was like, okay, fine. He starts doing? He starts being cholek on his Rav. He starts saying, no, my Rav was incorrect over here. I know I'm correct. My Rav was incorrect. My rabbi was incorrect. He says, yeah, but your rabbi has this and this and that. He knows what he's talking about. He spoke to God. Who are you? No, but I know. What do you know? Where do you know from? Your rabbi has sources from the Chachamim. What do you have? I have a source from this rabbi. Yeah, but this rabbi is reform. Yeah, but he still has the title rabbi. Yeah, he's being reformed. You have your Torah is not valid. Yeah, but this and that in the end. Let's be lenient. Always looking for leniencies. So he was always constantly looking for leniencies. Lot was always constantly looking for leniencies. And in the end, he was cholek by his Rav. He went against his Rav. He disagreed with his Rav. He says, no, what happened? You're fanatic. You're incorrect. You're machmir. This is a chumrah. You don't have to do it. We can find kulot for everything. You could do it over here. One posek says it, no problem, we take it. One posek, every single leniency we find, we'll take it. We'll make it so much so that chas v'shalom it becomes Christianity. We'll take it. You don't have to do anything. But that's not how it works. Your Rav learned for many, many years. He knows how to do it. He knows what to do. He knows everything. You just came and you just think, no, what's the difference? I'm teaching and that's it. I could say whatever I want. I could do whatever I want. So what happened? What was the problem? What was the depth problem? He didn't care. He looked for leniencies everywhere. He says, my Rav became fanatic. My Rav became too much. He says he's fanatic. Where do we see this? We see this in Parashat Lech-Lecha. Parashat Lech-Lecha, right after they come back from Egypt. Avraham and Lot. Avraham comes back from Egypt with a very big flock, a lot of animals, a lot of riches Paro gave to him. Avraham Avinu. So what happens? Avraham Avinu comes back from Egypt with Lot and with Sarah, and Paro gives him a whole entire big flock, a lot of animals, a lot of riches, a lot of things. And Avraham, now he comes back to Eretz Yisrael, still with a lot of animals and everything, a lot of sheep. Imagine he has right now sheep, just sheep. He has millions of sheep. Big shepherd. He has millions of sheep, another millions of so many animals, and he has the servants that take care of him, shepherds, and everything. And it comes and says in chapter 13, verse 5, also Lot, who went with Avram, had flocks, cattle, and tents. And the land could not support them dwelling together, for their possessions were abundant, and they were able to dwell, and they were unable to dwell together. And there was quarreling between the herdsmen of Avram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. Lot had certain livestock, certain animals, and Avram had certain animals. And the shepherds, the herdsmen, the people taking care of these animals, they will start fighting. They start fighting. The herdsmen of Avram, they were tzaddikim. Why? They learned from Avram. But the herdsmen of Lot, even though Lot was a tzaddik, but they took away a little bit of the dust, a little bit of the bad qualities of Lot. So they were always looking for leniencies. So they started having quarreling. They started having arguments. And the Kanaani and the Perizi were dwelling in the land. What does that have to do with anything? What is the Kanaani and the why does it say that inside the pasuk? Why does it say that in the verse? It's coming to say, the Chachamim explain that Avraham Avinu, we understood that he did every single thing to stay away from theft, from gezel. So every single time, whenever he used to pass by the fields that weren't theirs, to pass by the fields that were from the Kanaani and the Perizi, the Kanaani and the Perizi and all the other people that were there, he said, "This is not our land. It's not our land. We can't just let our animals eat people's lands." So what did he do? He muzzled them. He closed their mouth. He closed for them not to eat. Every single animal they closed. They closed the animal. They closed the mouths for them not to eat the thing. But the sheep of Lot, well, what's the big deal? He says, don't worry. Why? There's a leniency to do. What's the leniency? Hashem gave you the land. It's your land. It's not theirs. It's your land. We can eat from it. The animals can eat from it. Abraham said, I'm sorry. Hashem didn't give us the land yet. He didn't give us the land. He's going to give it to my children. He's going to give it to my descendants. Not to me yet. Lot, even though he wasn't his descendant, he says, listen, Abraham doesn't have any kids. He's not going to have any kids. Who's the next in line? I'm the next in line. It's mine. So let them eat. Abraham says, you're wrong. You're wrong. He was back and forth on halachot, and he says, you are wrong. And Lot says, you are fanatic. You're incorrect. You're wrong. You're wrong. And he was cholek on his rav. He was cholek. He went against his rabbi. He went against the halachic authority of his rabbi. So what does Abraham say? He says, listen, you're not going to listen to me? No problem. Leave. Leave. You don't want me to be a rabbi. You don't want me to teach you. You're not going to listen to me. Even if you want me to teach you, you're not going to listen to me. You're not my student anymore. Leave. You want to be your own rabbi? Do whatever you want. So what does it say in the next verse? It says, so Abraham said to Lot, please let there be no strife between you and me and you, and between me and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen. For we are kinsmen, we are relatives. Is it not all the land before you? See all this land. Please separate from me. Don't cause these problems. Don't right now, cause confusion between my students. Choose me, choose them, like Korach did with Moshe. He starts bringing people, oh, Moshe's wrong, Moshe's this, Moshe's that, and he's cholek on his rav. He's cholek on his rav. What happened to Korach? He went straight to Gehinnom, he went straight to hell. Alive, he went straight, he pulled him down alive. To hell. He says, please, separate from me. If you go left, then I will go right. If you go right, then I will go left. We're going to go separate ways. You choose wherever you want to go. And what does it say? Lot opened up his eyes and he looked everywhere. And it says before Hashem destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. What does it say? Like the garden of Hashem. What does this mean? Chachamim explain. Lot is looking and he sees one nice place, beautiful place. He sees Sodom. He sees this place. The land is amazing. You could grow on it. It's like the land of the Garden of Eden. It's like Gan Eden. You put something, it grows amazingly. It's so beautiful. It used to be beautiful over there. Lot says, I'm going over there. Why? There's riches. There's a lot of things over there. I'm going to be the rabbi over there. I'm going to be the rabbi. I'm going to do all these type of things. And he goes. What does it say in the pasuk? It says, "Vayisa Lot mikedem." In pasuk Yud Aleph, verse 11. Vayisa Lot mikedem, where it says, and Lot journeyed from the east. Rashi comes and says, he comes and explain. He says, what does it mean, mikedem? Technically, mikedem could also mean from the east. But he says, mikadmono shel olam, from the one that started the world. And what does he say? What did Lot say? He says, if Shai lo ba'Avraham velo be'elokav. He says, I don't want to be part of Avraham and I don't want to be part of his God. I don't want to be part of it. It doesn't say lo be'elokim. I don't want to be part of God. He says, I don't want to be part of his God, Avraham's God, but lo be'elokav, his God. Meaning his shitot, his thing, his halachot, his everything. No, he's fanatic, he's crazy. We take everything lenient. We're not like that. We go everything nice, everything's okay. You don't have to worry about it. It's okay if someone does Chilul Shabbat, it's okay. We're still going to love him, we're still going to collect him, he could still be part of us. Don't worry, he still has Olam Haba, he still has Gan Eden, he's still good. Hashem still loves him. Abraham says, I'm sorry, that's not what the Torah says. You have your own religion. So he says, not with your God, not with your ideologies. And what came out of Lot? Hashem Yishmo, he went straight. He's right now in hell. He's in hell, and he's known as a Rasha because of this one thing, this thing that he messed up on. Now we go a little bit more. We're going to do this, and then we're going to stop here. We're going to stop after this. So basically, after a little while, there's a whole entire army, there's a whole entire war between the 5 kings and 4 kings, and they're all going against each other. And Lot gets captured. And then it says over here, in chapter 14, verse 13, it says, and then there came the fugitive and told Avram Ha'ivri, the Ivri, who dwelled in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite, the brother of Eshkol, the brother of Aner, these being Avram's allies. So it says that there's a certain fugitive, the Palit. The Palit came and told Avraham, your nephew has been captured, has been kidnapped. And Avraham says, thank you, I'm going to try to save him. And he goes and he saves him, and he goes and he fights these kings, and he saves Lot. He saves Lot. The Chachamim come and explain, who is this Palit? Who is this fugitive? They come to explain, this is Og Melech HaBashan. The Og Melech HaBashan. If it sounds familiar, who is this Og Melech HaBashan? He's the one that Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Yisrael killed and took over the land 40 years after leaving Egypt. Now, we see, if that's the case, how long did he leave? How long did he live? This is, what was it? 2025, right? 2025. All the way to 2400, the year of Matan Torah, the year of the Exodus of Egypt, was 2448. You have 40 years after that, 2488, that's whenever Og died. So he lived at least 400. But now we also know that he was actually at the time of the Mabul. And the Chachamim explained that he held on to the Mabul. He held on to the Mabul, to the ark. He held on to the Teva. He held on to the Teva, to the ark, and he survived like that. He survived. So he lived many, many, many years. Why did he live so long? Because the Chachamim explained, what was his intentions over here? His intentions over here was that Avraham Avinu is going to go, he's going to fight that many kings, that many armies. He's going to go, he's going to die. And what am I going to do? Sarah is such a beautiful one. I'm going to take her as my wife, as my queen. Avraham Avinu comes out victorious, and he's like, okay, fine, it didn't work out. But Hashem says, okay, fine. What did he do? He just did a mitzvah. Why? He told Avraham, he did a mitzvah of pidun shvuim. Pidun shvuim is to save people that were captured. He helped in this mitzvah. So because of that, I'm gonna give him a reward. Because every single mitzvah has a reward. So Avraham Avinu sees and he says, I'm gonna give you a reward. But since he's a rasha, he doesn't know olam haba. So Hashem says, I'm going to give him a reward in this world. What's the reward? Long life. Long life. Long life. So much so that Moshe Rabbeinu was scared. We see as in Numbers 20:21, in the Sefer Bamidbar, verse 21, and also in Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, that Moshe was scared. Moshe was scared of Og. Why was he scared of Og? Why was he scared of Og? Because he knew that he had this zchut. He had this type of zchut. He was scared of him. Maybe he's gonna be victorious against us. Hashem says, I already gave him his reward. Don't worry about it. He's gonna be in your hands. He's gonna die with you. So we see that even if a person is a rasha gamur, complete rasha, even that Hashem says every single mitzvah you do, I'm gonna give you a reward. So much more so for the people that are tzaddikim. So much more so for the people that are actually doing what Hashem wants. I'm going to give them a reward. Also the opposite, that if there's a tzaddik, Hashem says for every single avera you do, I'm going to punish you. But just know that, like I said, every single mitzvah or avera someone doesn't make a difference, tzaddik or a chasha, Hashem will pay him. What's the difference? Either it's going to be he's going to pay him in this world, which is worthless, or he's going to pay him the next world, which is eternal. So which one do you want to have? You want to have the punishment eternal in the next world, or you want to have the reward in the eternal? Or you could have over here a little bit of punishments to clean you out, or you could have a little bit of reward. So he rewarded Og Melech Bashan. This is how big a mitzvah is, that he lived for more than 800 years, many years, just because of one mitzvah that he didn't even do with the right intentions, but still he got it. How do we see this also? We see this with Nebuchadnezzar. At the time of, right before the destruction of the first Bet HaMikdash, Nebuchadnezzar, he used to be a advisor to a king, a messenger, and the king really believed and honored, respected Bnei Israel, Am Israel. He really respected them, and he believed in God. And he wrote a letter. He says, "Dear the people of Israel, dear their chachamim, and also to their God, to their one and only God." And he said, he wrote it up. He made the note, whatever, love letter. He sent the thing, and he said, give it to his messenger, and he says, go, give it to them. Say thank you. Say, give my message to them. So Nebuchadnezzar hears this, he sees him writing it, and he says, the messenger already left. Nebuchadnezzar comes over to him and he says, my king, your majesty, you believe in this God? He says, of course. You know how much they did? You know how much, it's obvious, you could see it. He says, I don't know, because the way you wrote it, it doesn't seem like you believe. Because if you did, you wouldn't have wrote it like. He says, why? What's the problem? He says, if you believe in him, why'd you write him last? Why'd you say his name last? The king started thinking about it. He says, oh my God. He says, you're right. His name is supposed to be first. Go catch the messenger fast. Go catch him. Run after him. Nebuchadnezzar runs. He runs and he runs. And the messenger already went a little bit outside of the palace doors. Nebuchadnezzar runs. He's already the messenger is already 3 steps outside of the palace doors. Nebuchadnezzar walks 3 steps outside the palace doors. He grabs the paper, the parchment. He runs back inside. He walks back inside 3 steps. And for those 3 steps, Hashem says, you just did mitzvah kiddush Hashem. You just did mitzvah kiddush Hashem. You just sanctified my name. For these 3 steps, I'm going to give you 70 years of kingship. You're going to become king for 70 years. You, your kids, and your grandkids. Your family line is going to get kingship for 70 years. just for 3 steps, which is why we do 3 steps before Shmona Esrei, to say, no, clean this out. He didn't do anything. Take it away. Don't give him any zchuyot. Don't give him any. How do you translate zchuyot? Any merits. Don't give him any merits. But in the end, we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him 70 years just for 3 steps. We live a life of Kiddush Hashem. How much more so is our reward going to be in Olam Haba? How much reward? And even just the spark, just the perot, just the fruits of our labor, the fruits of our trees that are going to be in Olam Haba, we can enjoy it over here also. It's the fruits. There's going to be a fruit tree in Gan Eden. We're going to have the fruits over here. So, just for that, Hashem saw the mitzvah and He gave him 70 years. Why am I bringing up Nebuchadnezzar? First of all, to say how big the power of a mitzvah is. But also over here, right after the whole entire thing, with Lot, Avraham Avinu meets a king by the name of Melchizedek, Melech Shalem. Melchizedek, Melech Shalem, Chachamim explain this is Shem ben Noach. This is Shem, the son of Noach. He lived such a long life that he actually lived until this time. And he became king. He was king of Shalem. What's Shalem? Shalem is actually the second part of Yerushalayim. He was king of Yerushalayim at that time, but it wasn't called Yerushalayim, it was called Shalem. Just the last part. Yerushalayim. So he's called king of Shalem. But what do you say? As we see in chapter 14, verse 18, but Melchizedek, king of Shalem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest of God, the Most High. He blessed him, saying, "Blessed is Avram of God, the Most High, maker of heaven and earth. And blessed is God, the Most High, who has delivered your foes into your hand." And he gave him a tenth of everything. Melchizedek made a mistake. Even though he blessed Avraham, he blessed Hashem, what did he do? He blessed Avraham before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. First thing we have to do is we have to say Baruch Atah Hashem. We have to say Hashem we say the blessing of Hashem first. Say Hashem. You say the bracha. We admit that Hashem is the one that's the one that's blessed, the one that's above everything, and then we say Avraham. We say whatever it is after everything. So because of that, the Chachamim explain. It says over here that he was the priest of God, but because he messed up, that priesthood transferred to Avraham, that it's going to be his descendants to Aaron HaKohen. Now, even though technically Avraham was a descendant of Shem, but Chachamim explain he didn't get this as an inheritance. He got this as a gift, as a thing that he misused it, now you're going to get it. He got it as a reward, as a personal merit, not as an inheritance. So that's why now we have to understand that we have to put HaKadosh Baruch Hu first. We learned from this parasha to put HaKadosh Baruch Hu first. To say whenever we say brachot, we say Shtabach Shem La'ad, we say Hashem, Baruch Hashem, and all the thing, and then we say brachot to people. We always have to put Hashem first before everything, and for everything in our mind, in our business, in our learning, in our everything. We say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, let me be successful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I know everything's from you. Everything's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We also have to learn that don't just think that we just know everything. There are Rabbanim. There's a system. There's a system. You can't just go against your Rav. Okay, listen, he's Machmir. I think it's lenient. Okay, fine, we're just going to go lenient. The heck says me, did you learn? Did you ask your Rav? Did you all these type of things? Did you go through this the way it's supposed to go? Did you go through? No. We're supposed to understand that don't think we know everything. There's a lot of things we don't know. There's a lot of things we have to learn. And B'ezrat Hashem will be successful. And we're going to have a very good Shavua Tov. Thank you very much. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.